Hello and welcome to Best True Crime Documentary. First off, let you tell everyone that I am so grateful for this opportunity to share these stories. I have been under the weather and had to be hospitalized due to bronchial problems, so it is hard to talk for an extended amount of time. I am not looking for sympathy, but I feel I do owe everyone an explanation as to why I have been using this format rather than the in-person videos I started with. Once I am cleared, I will go back to the in-person videos. Thank you, and now on with the story. Today we will be discussing the case of the lost Dutch girls. This will be a two-part episode due to the large amount of information that has been found about this case. In order to do it justice, it needs to be broken up into easily digested pieces. There is a lot of information that has been compiled about this case, so if this subject interests you, this is definitely the right spot. Sit back and relax and let me tell about Kris and Lisanne. On March 15, 2014, Dutch students Kris Kremers, 21, and Lisanne Froon, 22, boarded a plane from Amsterdam to Costa Rica. They made a stopover in Houston. From San Jose, Costa Rica, they traveled by bus to Bocas del Toro, Panama. A boat took them to the Panamanian island Isla Colon in the Bocas del Toro archipelago. Lisanne, tall, 184 centimeters, athletic, and just graduated from her university studies in applied psychology. She was born on September 24, 1991, and said to be thoughtful, intelligent, empathetic, and a little bit shy. She loved music by Coldplay and kept a diary, which she also brought along to Panama. Lisanne's brother Martijn has read passages from her diary aloud on a Dutch TV program. Kris, a middle child with an older brother Sjers and a younger brother Tijgen, was shorter than her friend, measuring 167 centimeters. She had just completed her studies in cultural social education at the University of Utrecht. She had decided to study art history when she came back from Panama. She had previously done work in psychiatry, dealing with people with severe addiction diagnoses. Born on August 9, 1992, she was sparkling and extroverted, cheerful, intelligent, spontaneous, and outspoken, with striking red/strawberry blonde hair. She loved theater and the artistic world. She also enjoyed festivals and music by Pearl Jam and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. She had a boyfriend in the Netherlands and kept a diary, just like Lisanne. The two friends had saved for a long time for this trip, which was supposed to be part of a gap year in their studies. They knew each other from their job in cafe/restaurant in Den Kleinen Hap in Amersfoort, and the girls also both rented rooms in the same student house. Lisanne had in fact only started living on her own several weeks before her trip to Panama. They planned to not only sightsee around Panama, but to also do volunteer work in a local children's school, and to learn Spanish. They didn't just want to go on one long holiday, but also do something for local children. In Holland, they gathered money from friends and family to buy children's toys for the Panamanian kids they would teach. They would return home on April 21. Kris' brother Sjers always mentioned April 29 though. Kris developed a love for South America after a holiday in Peru with her parents. Lisanne had never traveled further than southern Germany with her parents. The girls first visited the coast of Panama and had a good time in Bocas del Toro, learning some Spanish, enjoying the beach, food, drinks, sightseeing, and dancing in the evening. They met two young Dutch men there, who they spent a lot of time with, as well as several international young men. Lisanne wrote shortly after arrival in her diary, "Yah, what a trip. Luckily I almost forgot about it already upon arrival in the beautiful and cozy Bocas del Toro. I would not want to be found dead in San Jose, although the chance of this is quite high in San Jose. But I could live in Bocas for the rest of my life. Maybe when I ever retire. I am sitting in the sun, which I can't hold out much longer by the way, hot, and I take a good look around me at my new accommodation for the next 2 weeks. The heat is already very high by the way, even in the shade I have the feeling that I can still burn alive. But despite this, the sun is actually quite nice. How intensely happy it can make a person. Kittens, stray cats, yes, they are regular customers here. They walk everywhere. Just like mini salamanders, even in the shower. If they manage to keep the spiders away, they could actually become my best friends. We have also seen a dolphin, the ultimate enjoyment. Drinking from a coconut, a real one yes. And getting sunburned, I worked well on my tan, what more do you want? She went on to describe Spanish classes, excursions where they saw dolphins, sloths, and bounty islands, and evenings of eating and drinking and dancing with their new-made friends. Kris wrote about their travel to Bocas. The bus trip was an adventure in itself. The bus trip itself went well. But first we had to speed through San Jose by taxi because we had no cash on us. When we got out in Cizaola, we and 2 locals were the only ones left. We had to just figure out for ourselves how to get to the border. The bus driver only spoke Spanish. We were sent one way and with our backpacks we really stood out among the locals. We arrived at the border, which consisted of an old bridge. It was very bizarre to cross the border that way. Once on the other side we arrived at a building where we had to pay money for a sticker on a passport. I think we were scammed. When we stood at that real immigration checkpoint, a man approached us and asked if we had to go to Bocas. We were a bit suspicious because we didn't know very well if we could trust him. All the people were in a great hurry because they thought we would not be able to catch the last boat. For this reason we decided to just jump in the car and hope for a happy ending. And it came. After a hellish ride where the driver was driving so fast that I didn't even dare to look, we arrived at a small stepping stone for the boat to Bocas. After about half an hour we finally arrived. When Kris and Lisanne arrived in Bocas 2 weeks later, on March 29th, a city close to the western border of the country with around 19,000 inhabitants, it soon after turned out that their appointments had changed. Staff of the children's school Guarderia Aura, told them that they could not work there that week, as planned. The head of the children's school had other things to do elsewhere and they had no time or place for them, despite earlier made agreements. The head of the school also complained later that she could hardly understand the girls, as they spoke no Spanish. They did understand her however, when she made it clear to them that she needed no volunteers. Kris and Lisanne were sent away. All their preparations had been for nothing and all their plans went down the drain at that moment. Lisanne did not take this setback well, as they planned everything meticulously at home with the help of the travel agency they used, called Het Andier Reizen, roughly translated as the different traveling. Hans Kremers, Kris' father, also stated this in a Dutch talk show. Staff from the Spanish-language school in Bocas, who had helped to organize the volunteer work, had even sent an email on the Friday, so 3 days before they were supposed to start their volunteer work, confirming their start on the Monday. "We have been sent away," Lisanne texted her parents. "I am really very disappointed." The girls stayed with a local host family in Alto Bocas, which is situated south of Bocas, for 4 weeks. Miriam Guerra often houses international students and had a room for the girls with its own entrance separate from the main house. Miriam described the girls as smart and shy. She also stated that the girls were restless. She said that on the first evening there, Kris read a book in the girls' bedroom while Lisanne kept Miriam some company in the living room. Despite not speaking Spanish, Lisanne managed to explain to Miriam that they didn't yet know what to do with their newfound free time. Miriam suggested the local school Casa Esperanza to them, which said intermediate Spanish language skills were requested. The same probably applied to the Aura Children's School, which offers the same type of work, but the girls told her that they had already tried that school with no luck. Miriam also recalled to a Dutch newspaper that Lisanne had coughed a lot, as she was having breathing problems due to a cold, a sore throat, or perhaps even some issues with the higher altitude in Bokeh. It was never made clear. It seems more likely to have been a cold. Either way, Miriam recalled that Lisanne was not feeling too well and also had a sore throat. Miriam didn't believe they would voluntarily make a very long hike the next day. But the girls eventually did decide to explore the area the next days. Miriam brought them breakfast at their room on Sunday, March 30th, their second day in Bokeh, and learned that the girls planned to walk around Bokeh to learn more about the place. Photos show them out and about in Bokeh that Sunday. They came back home before sunset. They are claimed to have planned all sorts of sightseeing tours for the next week, starting on Wednesday, April 2nd until Saturday, with the help of staff of the local language school they attended, called Spanish by the River. This Dutch-run Spanish language school has multiple locations, including one in Bocas del Toro, called Spanish by the Sea, and one near Bokeh, called Spanish by the River. In fact, it was only a few houses from Miriam's place in Alto Bokeh, and Kris and Lisanne dropped in there many times, also to check things on the school's computers and to use their Wi-Fi. When replacement volunteer work proved difficult to arrange for the first week of April, the girls showed interest in local day tours, such as climbing the local volcano and visiting a local coffee plantation and a strawberry farm. But for Tuesday they had nothing planned yet. Perhaps to save money, because hiring a guide in Bokeh can cost up to $35 or even $45. On Tuesday, April 1, 2014, they set out on a hike on the Pianista Trail, Sendero La Culebra, which is a famous path bringing walkers to a summit at around 8-kilometer distance from Bokeh, and passing clouded forests and waterfalls. The girls wrote prior to the hike on Facebook that they intended to walk around Bokeh. And they also sent Kris' boyfriend, Stefan, an SMS message according to Lisanne's mother, to say that they were going for a hike that Tuesday. A taxi is said to have picked them up and brought them to the start of the trail, which is about 9 kilometers north of the Spanish language school and their host family's house. The taxi driver declared that he dropped them off in the afternoon, 13:40 p.m., and two staff members of the language school confirmed at the time that they had seen the girls leave there shortly after 1:00 p.m., but the clock on their digital camera suggests that Kris and Lisanne started their hike around 11 a.m. in the morning, instead. This is only one of many inconsistencies in this story, so be prepared for a lot of confusing storylines to come. According to her father and boyfriend, Kris last had contact with Stefan around 2 p.m., by phone. Lisanne and Kris wore light clothing on the day, shorts and a tank top, and didn't bring much with them other than a light backpack, some money, their mobile phones, a separate digital camera, a water bottle, and most likely some food or snacks, although no wrappers of anything but small sweets were found, and Lisanne's brother later said he didn't think they brought any food at all. So they were dressed for a short trip. Residents at the start of the trail have later declared to a Dutch journalist that they warned the girls not to walk up there by themselves, and the same had been told to them during an introduction talk by one of the school staff members. But the girls waved these worries away, and there was word that they took a local dog, named Blue, or Azul in Spanish, along, who was from the restaurant owners at the start of the trail. Suspicion rose, however, when the dog's owners declared that Blue returned to Bokeh that same day, without the two girls. The host family is said to have searched the area surrounding their home once they realized that their guests had not come back in the evening, but found no sign of the girls. Giving them the benefit of the doubt, the host family decided they would wait until the morning to continue their search. But in another interview, the host mother said she was simply unaware that the girls were not home on Wednesday morning and said she left them breakfast before going to work, thinking they were sleeping in. Kris and Lisanne were said to have been scheduled with a local guide for a private walking tour that day, Wednesday, April 2nd, but they never showed up for this appointment. Which makes you wonder why they didn't just wait for this Wednesday tour to venture out with a knowledgeable local, instead of going out hiking alone on Tuesday already. It was at this point that the tour guide went to look for the girls at the nearby host family they stayed with. And later that day, he and a staff member from the language school contacted the authorities and the girls' families. The next morning, so Thursday, April 3rd, authorities are said to have conducted an aerial search of the forest, as well as a foot search with the help of local residents. The families of both Kris and Lisanne hadn't heard from their daughters since April 1st. Before that date, the girls had regularly contacted their parents and updated them. Kris' father Hans Kremers said that they sent a message to Kris by Wednesday, April 2nd, asking if all was okay and if she could contact them, but they heard nothing. Hans characterizes his daughter and her friend as responsible, down-to-earth girls who do not easily run into trouble. If they deviated from their plans, they always let their parents know, and he described them as serious and punctual. Lisanne's mother told in an interview that after the girls found out on Monday, March 31st, that they had to fill up their time in bouquet because the volunteer work had been delayed, Lisanne had sent her mother a WhatsApp message saying that they had visited a massage parlor and a masseuse called Sigrid. But she added, "Mum, she is a Dutch massage lady. So don't you worry." In other words, sensible girls. But they weren't unsociable either. In bouquets they freely enjoyed the usual young people's preferred pastime habits, drinking, dancing and meeting other young people. So what happened to them? A co-worker of the Bouquet Equestrian Center mentioned to have seen the girls before April 1st. He stated, "They were hot and sweating and red from walking, so all things point to them not being acclimatized to altitude, no matter how fit they are." Although it is not certain that he actually saw Kris and Lisanne and not other tourists. Redness in the face is not that rare for northwestern Europeans with pale skin, but in Lisanne's case, her coughing, shortness of breath and asthma/cold symptoms may perhaps have made the strenuous exercise more difficult, especially in a humid climate with hills and mountains. The pianista route brought the girls to a height of 1,890 meters, 6,200 feet, above sea level. With the trail starting at an altitude of 1,278 meters, 4,192 feet, they had to climb around 610 meters over the space of 3.2 kilometers, 2 miles. And by all accounts, Lisanne was not at 100% health at that time. When their parents still hadn't heard anything by April 6th, one of the girls' parents boarded a plane along with detectives from the Netherlands. Together, police, dog units and the Dutch detectives searched the forests for a solid 10 days. Kris and Lisanne's parents offered a reward of $30,000 USD, but even this didn't bring them any new information. Nothing was heard or seen from the girls for weeks, months. Then, after about 10 weeks, a local woman found Lisanne's blue lycra backpack and it was handed to the police. She found it near a rice paddy, stuck between a rock and the river, on the bank of the river Culebra near the village of Alto Romero in a remote area in the district of Valle Risco, nearly 17 kilometers away from their host place Bouquet and 10 to 15 kilometers, and at least 14 walking hours, from the location where the girls were last seen. People from the Justice Department picked the backpack up with a helicopter the next day. In an interview, the woman who found the bag told the interviewer that she and her husband first called a local cattle rancher, later identified by her as local tour guide F, about the finding, and that he called the police for them and handed the bag to the police a day later. It has also been said that the couple may have first cleaned the backpack before handing it over to the police, but that is not confirmed, as there actually was some minor dirt found on the bag. In the media, the bag was described as clean and dry, with dry content, but we now know from the police files that there was actually some dirt on the bag, as well as some yellowish-brown clay at ends of the straps of the bag and some plant fragments and loose sand inside the bag. There were also some translucent plastic fragments found in the bag. It is assumed or claimed at times that the backpack was wet by the time investigators got it in their possession, which was at least 48 hours later, but this is unverified. Police assumed the bag had drifted by the river to this spot. It had been raining heavily in the prior few weeks, however, and some people believe that the backpack did not look like it had spent weeks in a super wet, muddy jungle and river, having endured 72-something days in a highly humid rainforest. In fact, the police report also mentions several details from the forensic analysis of the backpack. The attachment of one of the straps had partly come loose. The plastic closures contained deep scratches. The fabric of the bag showed some signs of discoloration in various places, possibly by abrasion. A rectangular piece of the fabric of approximately 30 by 15 mm at the top right corner was missing, showing straight edges at the location of the damage. This damage was possibly caused by a sharp edge. And close by, there was a straight tear in the fabric of the bag of approximately 10 mm. This big tear was located near and parallel to a seam. It was determined to have been caused by a sharp edge. The precise nature of this edge, whether it was a natural sharp edge or a man-made sharp object, has not been determined. Within this tear, the material polyester urethane was found. This material is frequently found as foam or elastomer. The origin of this material is unknown. The official police files concluded, although the damage of the backpack, scratches and abrasion, is consistent with traveling in a river and rocks, the damage is very light and probably not consistent with the travel of many kilometers in a wild river. So, soon after its discovery, a photo still from the backpack started circulating in the Panamanian media. In this Panamanian news item, the photos of the backpack were shown on June 17, 2014. It showed both the bag and its content, possibly providing the first real clues about what might have happened to the girls. Everything inside the backpack was in good general condition. In it were 2 folded up bras, 2 undamaged pairs of sunglasses, 1 pink, 1 described as black. Both girls' mobile phones, a white Samsung Galaxy from Lisanne with battery and a black iPhone with a red cover from Kris, neither looked damaged. A digital Canon PowerShot SX270HS camera without lens cap and battery, described as a Samsung camera, by mistake in the police files, it did not look damaged. A black camera case. A 16 GB memory card, SanDisk, star. A type of identity card from Lisanne. 1 key with a blue keychain. The bag also contained a snail and a small, sea, shell. Also found inside the bag were $88 American and some loose coins, also a paper wrapping from a cough drop. The police file describes it as part of a sweets wrapper. The photo also shows an empty water bottle, one which can also be seen in some of the photos the girls took, but the local cop who described the bag and its content right after it was picked up, did not list this water bottle in the content list of the original police report. Matt verified and confirmed this. The sunglasses with the colored glasses matches the one Lisanne wore that day, but Kris seems to wear brown sunglasses there, not purplish ones like the one pictured with the bag's content. Was its color somehow bleached by the sun? It also seems that the girls did not bring some of the things that could have helped them perhaps, such as a compass, a solar charger/power bank, or a reserve battery for their phones. Obviously no satellite phone either. No weapons have been found either, no knife and neither a lighter for instance. And was the key with the blue keychain also the key of their room? Surely they brought it with them. Also, the fact that the backpack seemingly traveled so far up the river raises the question how it could have stayed afloat, as opposed to sink and get saturated with water, in a river that winds for many kilometers and is littered with rocks. This river is said by officials to be able to disintegrate whatever falls into it when the water is high enough. Yet, the backpack was found with almost no damage and with belongings inside that only endured some water damage. The backpack also seems to have traveled surprisingly far, while items that float in a river are normally likely wash up on the shore. Although the mobile phones and camera suffered some water damage, there was no physical damage to the screens of the mobile phones or the digital camera, such as cracks or dents. There was one SD card, not two, as assumed sometimes. The local cop who first made the inventory of the bag and its content reported one SD card, which was pictured next to the Canon camera together with its battery, taken out to dry. And the Dutch NFI investigators also described the existence of only one SD card in their report, just like they found not a single text message. I know this has been a lot to consume, but there is so much information to go through. This will be the end of part 1 of The Lost Dutch Girls. Thank you for listening and please come back for part 2. And do not forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you and everyone have a good one until next time, good night.